Hey everyone, Ian, the dentologist here on another show. And I'll tell you what, I am super excited. Everybody's down and drab and gloomy. And you know what? You either got to be happy or you're going to cry. So, I've got an extra special guest here today. I cannot tell you how excited I am to have this gentleman here with me today. Can everyone hear me? I got a new microphone. I've got a new camera. I'm ready to rock and roll today, everyone. So, hold tight. This is going to be a good show. I guarantee it. Let's welcome the man of the hour, Paul Kordon. Hey, buddy. How you doing this morning?
What's happening? How are you, Ian?
I'm so happy to have you here, with everything that's going on in the world. We can just keep steadfast on the fact that, we're estimating cars. We're doing big things, man. We're taking dents out, and life is good. There's some stuff going on though, man, and we do need to address it before we start this show. Maybe kind of put a shout out to all the people that are suffering from this, especially financially now with all the shutdowns and the lockdowns and everything else. Are you guys shut down where you are?
So we're not. We're hearing some rumors that there may be some more serious shutdowns that are, sounds like still voluntary at this point. Okay. I don't know how mandatory they'll make things. Our business is certainly over the weekend since Friday. I mean, it's just, taking a dive off a cliff.
Same here.
With phone calls and emails. But we kind of expected that to happen. We expect that to continue to be the case as long as people are, more preoccupied with everything else going on. But obviously, we want to, although guys like you and I are probably in a low risk category, the reality is that there are a lot of people who are in a higher risk category. And I understand, taking precaution for those who are not able to handle it as well. So it's a bummer. It feels like a little bit of an extension of the winter months, even though we were starting to really see things pick up here at the end of February, beginning of March.
Same here.
But
yeah,
we're just extending the winter, slow period by probably a couple of weeks, I'd imagine. But here's the thing: let's we can definitely keep our chins up because for those of us who've been in the business long enough to remember 9/11, which this feels a lot like that.
It does.
And then the 2008 recession. I mean, quite frankly, I would imagine. A large part of the PDR industry, weathered that fairly well.
Right.
I'm sure that we did see a slowdown, but look at us. We're all here now, and we're living some of the best days of the PDR industry's lives. So we have a lot to be grateful for, a lot to keep our head up for and stay encouraged for, and let's just do our best to hunker down and make it through this. I'm sure we will.
Oh, we'll be just fine, man. We'll be just fine. It's scary territory, but you know what? Like I wrote a little something this morning. I woke up early. I was anticipating the show. I'm super excited to have you on. Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah.
I was thinking about all the things, the trials and tribulations that I've been through, just in the last 10 years. First flood that I've ever experienced was here in Napa. I mean, catastrophic damage to all downtown, under 4 feet, 5 feet of water. And then the fires. Here we got back-to-back years. Daniel Grom had it last year. I had it this year, and we're literally side by side in the towns, just a few miles apart. So what? All these different things that are coming into the mix. The one thing that holds steadfast is, no matter what, people are going to have their dents done when you're doing above level damage. Let's say if you're doing small little dings and stuff, wholesale work only and stuff like that. Yeah. Putting all your ducks in one row, you're probably going to really feel this. But what I've seen, especially during these events, let's just call them, is in the past is when you're doing the bigger damage, when you're estimating stuff correctly and you're sending off to insurance companies and body shops and you're doing the right process. We're going to delve into this here. But when you're doing the right process, I've seen that it just continues to roll. I mean, knock on wood, but I'll tell you what, we're in like complete lockdown, and I got people, calling me up going, I just want to make sure you're still there. I'm gonna sneak out of my house and come bring you my car, So, hey, this is stuff that I think everyone needs to know and practice. So I want to start off with welcoming everyone here today. My guest is Paul Kordon. And I wanted to talk to Paul about estimating. You know, I called him up the other day. I was I not just super excited when I called you on the phone?
Yeah, high energy, man.
Man, I love it. You know, when I have a day like I had the other day, and a lot of it is contributed to testing. I tested both ways of doing estimating. You know, I've been doing this a long time, 30 years. I just hit the mark this year on the 30-year mark of doing this.
Awesome.
So I've seen all kinds of different ways to do things or how to spin it. And the one thing that I have done that tested side by side is what is people's reactions when you just spit out a price, or even, you know, tell them and just show them something on the board, compared to taking the extra time, taking a deep breath right when you're ready to go do this estimate, and marking everything out, and then looking at the customer, making them involved, you know, saying, that looks like an 8-inch dent. I mean, I'm measuring it up. See, it says 8-inch dent. Would you agree? Yes, it's an 8-inch dent. Okay. Then you put the price on there. You list it all. You have your pens. So we're going to talk today about what works for me, how I've implemented a lot of the things that I've heard Paul talk about at different speeches and different seminars, and how it's been working for me. And I know Paul is going to put some tidbits in there. I always love hearing all the different ways he spins it. But we'll kind of start off with one. I've gone and tested all kinds of pens, man. And I have to say, this pen right here, it is the most paint safe, easy to wipe off, you know, good even in the sun, type of pen. What do you say? Do you have one that you like the most when you're writing on the side of cars?
Yeah. So historically, I kind of landed on the Crayola window crayons. You know, they're just a wax kind of a crayon that you're supposed to use on glass and windows, and they work on car panels too. I would say that for the most part, they have been my go-to, but I'm always on the hunt for what's the next best thing. You know what I mean? I always want to know what's better. So I'm definitely open to trying some new things out. I don't know if I've used that one.
This one here, they're expensive. For like 4 of them, you get a blue, a white, a yellow, and I believe a pink. And I'll tell you, they're like $28 for 4 of them. But man, I've yet to you know, it completely use one up in years of using them. But what's great is, I mean, you'll do it right in front of the customer, and I mean, you literally one little spray of some dry wash, one wipe, and they come right off immediately. You don't have any residue or anything etching into the paint. They're really good. We got a couple people here. We got a couple people here making some comments here. Let's see. What's Josh says they're trying to find toilet paper. I don't know. You having a problem finding some toilet paper?
We actually are, to be honest with you. The cost goes out. All the grocery stores are out. I found a couple of packs, but we have 7 people in our house. Plus now with older kids that have boyfriends, it's like you never know when there's going to be 9 when I get home, and I'm like, oh my gosh, are we feeding all these people? Or are we? You know,
I just told my wife, I said, hey, if all else fails, you know, we'll go old school. You know, I used to play football. I used to play football, man. We got socks, you know, whatever. Right.
That's going to be a lot of laundry, brother.
No, getting back on the subject here, you know, the whole estimating thing, you know, you had introduced this to me. I had seen you or met you for the first time, I believe, I don't know, a good 5-6 years ago there at one of the PDR college seminars, and then it was an education day at MTE. And man, I have to admit, I mean, all of us were looking at each other when you came out, and we were looking at these prices starting at $150 for a 1-inch dent, and we're all looking at each other going, "This dude's crazy. There's no way, dude. We're gonna literally be kicked out everywhere we go." And you know, and it was like, I was thinking, man, if he can get it. I'm in the Bay Area. If he can get this, there's no way that he's in some demographic that is way more. I mean, at the time, you know, twice as much of what I was charging to start, literally. And, you know, it was like, man, so what made you come up with, or what made you think of these prices to start? And how were you accepted from the customers when you finally implemented this?
Yeah, so great question. So I grew up, well, I started in the industry in the DC metro area. So just outside of Washington, DC, just west of DC is Northern Virginia area. And that's kind of where I was. Good morning, guys. And, you know, what I found was that we have a good bit of affluency in this area. So very similar to probably Napa Valley. And I know a number of other markets that guys are in. which quite frankly, let me just put a little disclaimer in here. I believe that to some degree, I think the reason that guys think they can't get these numbers in their market is because of bad thinking, just because of just stinking thinking, just, head trash,
Guilty. I know.
So, well, and I think you're one example of that. I've talked to a number of other guys who have told me, that they felt the same way at the beginning and thought I was crazy and couldn't get those numbers in their market. And sure enough, 6 months, a year later, they basically come back and they go, dude, you were right. I was wrong. It was bad thinking. I realized that I just needed to try, grow a pair and actually start doing it and change the way that I think. And quite frankly, I think that is the biggest case. But anyway, back to, starting in my career in the DC Metro, we had quite a bit of affluency. We were selling retail dents right from the very beginning. And nobody ever really had a good process for estimating side panel damage. We all knew what the Hail Matrix was. That's been around for a while. And that was the only, to my knowledge, written way of estimating any sort of paintless dent repair. I don't necessarily believe the Hail Matrix is right in its pricing, but regardless, we're grandfathered into it, and that's what we're kind of stuck with at this point. Now we have the standard matrix, which is great. We're moving in the right direction. I understand Dent Wizard is overhauling their Hail Matrix this year, which is amazing. That's great news, I think, for everybody. They're moving in the right direction. However, I was stuck. I was frustrated with the fact that I would have retail clients come in with all kinds of different dents. You know what it's like when you're dealing with side panel PDR. You never know what you're going to have coming in the door. And yet the only way that I had to estimate damage was to either pull a number out of my head or based on feelings that I had or hunches that I had about how this dent was gonna go. How long was I going to spend in it? How hard was it going to be? How much of my expertise was it going to take to really make this thing right? And I got frustrated with that. So I decided, I need a process for this. So I essentially developed what we have now as the price guide. Many of you guys know it. It's based on 3 major elements, which are size, factors, and R&I. So, we mark and measure the dent. We take the size of the dent, which almost always is underestimated by the customer. I'm sure you know that.
Right.
And then we mark it out in front of them, and then we take into consideration any of the variables or factors.
Would you say, Paul, that you start out kind of understanding the scenario? I've gone to several, talks with different people, whether it was with, Mike Toledo, Shane Jacks, Keith Cosentino, different people, yourself. And I've heard several times that, this isn't a mechanical thing. This isn't something that you walk up and, you start drawing and you're, it's something to where, just like always, man, this is what you're known for. This is why people use you is you're personable. You walk up and what's going on? What happened? How'd this happen to your car? Start out with that. And then, marking all the areas, like I've learned from you, tell me if I'm wrong as I go through this process here, but marking all the areas that you're going to be repairing, involving the customer in on the repair, having them agree to the size that you're marking up before you ever list a price really is a great thing to do. I've learned by testing that, that whole rule. And then, as far as, it's really easy to go really fast with somebody and just whip out a price, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
This way here, by going slower, just like in dent repair, when you're doing big dents and you're, trying to concentrate and do the best work possible to keep creating that name for yourself or keep your legacy going, however long you've been doing it, fast or, slower is faster. So writing these things out, taking your time with this, whether you train somebody to do it or you do it yourself, these steps, doing these things, really getting down to the nitty gritty on how it works. I really wanted to express myself of how that's working for me. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100% agree. I think everybody knows most paintless dent repair guys are kind of cut from the same cloth. We all are. We're go-getters. We're entrepreneurial minded. We're a bit impatient. I would say that's a big indicator or a big marker of a dent guy. And it's easy for us to jump into anything really fast and not really step back, take a look at it, take our time with it and kind of figure it out. Matter of fact, a great example of that, Ian, is yesterday. I got a phone call from the 2 guys that work for us, and they had gone out to take care of a car together, tag team car. And they called me and they said, hey, we fixed the car and we sent the price to the customer. And he was like, I don't want to pay that. I said, wait a minute. So you guys You guys wrote it up. It was to be fair, it was a car that was actually going through a detail shop,
Right.
and I think there was a bit miscommunication between the detail guy and the customer. But anyway, and I said, so you guys fixed the whole car, $775 worth of work, and now the customer doesn't want to pay it. So now we got to call the customer and try to negotiate this and figure out how much we can get out of it. So that's just the reality of Dent, guys. I've done that myself, where you're just so anxious. You're like, oh, just let me get on it and fix it. I want to get it knocked out. But the truth is that I think slowing down the estimate process is what allows us to really sell the high prices, or what I consider not high prices, but normal and appropriate prices for the work that we do.
I totally agree. And even though I've had, some pushback from people that I've worked with for 22, 25 years, there's been some tension. I mean, they've pulled me in the office, man. And I got to say, I've choked on my tongue and had to just sit there and take it, and I've had all these people, telling me that they're kind of disgusted, and yet your prices are kind of ridiculous, and they've raised up. And it's like, when I first started working here, this is the way I feel, when I first started working, you were $65 an hour. That was 20 years ago. Okay. Yep. Now you're $115 an hour for labor. That's just for labor, So what's the percentage on that as far as, per hour growth? And, it all works out in the end because, cost of living and the cost of doing these repairs, making them, go is one thing, but the fact that we're the only ones that add the value back to the car, we don't diminish the value. And this is something that I consistently, dig into every single estimate, hey, I'm giving you this estimate. And I know I'm as much, if not maybe even a little bit more than what the body shop. That was something that was really hard for me to grasp that you had said one time. Yeah. And I have been just rolling like a steam train, like a freight train with that whole saying. And it's the truth. I can't tell you how many times that, people come in with a lease return and they've got a dent and they, they're like, your price, actually, my deductible is only $250. And it's like, now you're gonna go in there and, honestly, I've had people come back to me and tell me that they went and had it fixed for the $250. And when they went in, they saw the Carfax saying that it had been fixed because they went and they made an insurance claim. And now they had to pay the difference for the diminished value on that lease before they would take the lease in. I mean, I couldn't believe that. I was like, that is a huge selling feature. Now granted, that might not happen all the time, but I roll it like it does. I roll it like it does every single time. And I mean, these little key points are little tidbits to turn in to where you're going to sell these jobs at this price because, again, we're the only ones that add the value back to the car, not take it away with all, body work or paint or what have you. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, not only do I agree, but I can prove that is the case. I think every time that I've been in front of a group of Dent guys where we're talking about estimating and negotiating and selling and all that stuff,
right?
I typically will ask a question and ask them to raise their hand if they believe that PDR, the process of PDR, is more valuable than a conventional repair with a body shop. And almost every single time, quite frankly, I can't remember a time when every guy in that room has not raised their hand.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because inherently what we do, being that it restores the vehicle back to its pre-loss condition and also does it in a way where it's not diminishing any value due to sanding, painting parts and all that other stuff.
Exactly.
The reality is it just is a fact that it is more valuable than paintless dent repair. So I think the key issue that most dent guys have that our industry still has, and we're not there yet, but we're definitely making progress. We're moving along.
Right.
Is first of all, we've got to be able to agree with that statement. Yes, paintless dent repair is more valuable than a collision repair. And then secondly, we need to start to think and process that way so that when we do go to say that, we can say it from conviction, not just because we're repeating what somebody else said and we're still kind of hesitant, because people can read through that. We're in the selling game. When we're selling to a customer, we need to be able to say those things with conviction and full.
Got to be confident. You got to be confident when you're doing this, man. The more confidence, the more it is, or the easier it is to implement these things. Here's a great thing that I had was jotting down. Customers are I mean, this is a question for you. Have you experienced that customers are more willing to spend more money to have a good experience or a quality experience than pay a discounted price, and there even be one little chance that something could go wrong or have a bad experience? Have you noticed that?
Oh, 100%.
Right. Yep. I remember that you had said, I believe at one of your seminars, and I mean, it rang so true to me that, this is something that I can implement. This is something that, I might go down a little bit at first, but I know I'm going to trust this process. And that's what this whole show, this whole interview is about, trusting the process. And man, I'll tell you, it took a lot for me to trust it, but I am so glad that I did. And that was that phone call that I made to you the other day. I was like, man, dude, I'm telling you, I've tested it side by side consistently. I'm tired. It's the end of the day. I got a guy coming over here. I got 2 dents waiting for me. I'm in the middle of one, phone's ringing. Everybody's going crazy. Cats and dogs living together. And I'll whip out a price and I'll just say, $250. And it's like, the customer will say something like, oh, that's it. I would have paid, $500. And then I'm thinking about it and I go, in my mind, I'm like, if I would have drawn that out, dude, I would have been right at $500. Why didn't I do that?
We do it to ourselves all the time.
You got to take the time. You got to trust the process. Here's a good one. Let me see here. Big one. Do you agree that you can always take money off of an estimate, but it's near impossible to put it back on or to add it once you've listed a price?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I think that's an automatic. I tell our guys, you can always go down in price. You can never go up. I heard somebody say that people get addicted to discounts, but they don't get addicted to free. Right. And the reason that I use that is because with some of our body shop clients, mostly, our MSOs, like the Calibers, the big guys that are constantly calling us. Sometimes they'll have a job that's internal. Their body guy dented a fender after he painted it and put it on the car, and they need to come fix a 5-second dent. And I tell my guys, listen, I don't ever want to see a ticket under $150 to an MSO, because as soon as you start writing a dent repair for $75 because it was easy and fast, he said, guess what you've done? You've reset their brain to think that 75 is the new low mark. Right. I said, I would rather you give it away for free. Shoot, I would rather pay you for the time you spent on it and me not make a dime on it, so that we establish that our baseline is $150, not 75. And so people get addicted to discounts. They don't get addicted to free. How many customers have you done a discount for and they come back and they go, well, last time you discounted it for me. Can you do that again?
Right.
I mean, it happens all the time. So another kind of head trash thing that we have to get over. We feel like we have to discount things. Obviously we do a military and law enforcement discount, so we'll give them 10% off for that. But that's the only discount that we will ever do, and that includes with all of our dealers and body shops and stuff too.
Right. Hey, just what's crazy is right before all this stuff went down with the coronavirus and the shutdowns and the lockdowns and everything else, I get a phone call from a MSO. And they've been using us for a long time, but it seems like the last 3 months, that's all I get from them is a call, right on a Friday at around, they couldn't call me in the morning. It's more like 11 o'clock, right? And, or 1 o'clock, when it's almost too late to get there. And it's like, oh, we really need you to get here. And it's like, yeah, it's a quick job. Yeah. It takes us half an hour to get there or whatever, but I can't do this $7,500, deal. I can if you're selling $1,000 deal, or if you're, giving me a customer or something like that, we'll work something. I mean, I'll admit that, but if that's all I'm getting, it's a minimum of $150. But I have seen that you start to get more jobs because their anticipation is, I kind of feel bad. I want to get this done. Maybe I should give them a couple jobs, maybe he might come down. I'm not coming down. This is where it is now. The $150 is the minimum, and makes guys kind of think a little bit more before they mess something up or need something, And you know what? Hey, if they call someone else to come and do that job and facilitate it for half the price or whatever, you know what? So be it. It's like you just got to kind of move on and move up and this and that. But I have seen a huge improvement in desired customers, with that said, that are willing to pay since using this specific process and pricing. And I wanted to kind of delve in before we get too late in the show. You have a specific price structure that you use, that you've implemented, and I have mine, and I wanted to share mine. Now, I have to say one thing, dude, excuse me. You'd sent me a picture of all the add-ons, and dude, I was like, this guy he must like
out of his mind.
He's putting on socks and he goes, you know what? I I can add that on. You know what?
Yeah.
No, not 20, not 25%. We're going to go 40% on this bad boy. And it just, dude, I was like, wow, you know, because I feel bad for some of the add-ons that I have, man, but I was looking at yours. So guys, you guys got to reach out to Paul. You guys got to see some of these add-ons. It's unbelievable, but that's just it. He's implemented it. He's continuing to push this. So they're expecting it. They're like, yeah, you know, it's probably double walled, under a brace, laminated, and it's pearl, and it's an exotic car. You know, I don't know. I'm probably paying, you know, $700 for a 1-inch dent, but that's what he's implemented. So myself, I've got 2 tiers of pricing. I've got 4 or more dents or 3 or less dents. And what I've noticed by doing this, you constantly have those customers, you know, and they're, you know, him, hooing and hawing. And you get these guys and they'll get you out to do an estimate, and you've driven out there or you're on your way home and you stop by to go give this estimate. Guy's got 5 dents. And the total estimate comes out to like $600 and something for all 5 dents, because now he's at the lower tier. Sir, just letting you know, you're at the lower tier pricing for multiple dent discount. So now you estimate everything up. It adds up to this. And then he goes, you know, $680, man, you know, well, just estimate those 3. I have to re-estimate it here. Let me go back to this first one. The first one's like 325. Second one equals, you know, this with the markup. You know, we're already at the same, you know, we're almost at the same price, maybe $100 difference. Well, might as well just do them all. And I can't tell you how many times I sell a multiple dent job for the total price because I have that feature. So that's kind of my little secret of what I put a spin on the board, or the pricing structure. You have what for add-on dents? It's like $50 for each additional, or then plus the add-ons or something like that.
Yeah, I think we do additional dents, and this is, most of this stuff is also in the price of dent feature under the Paul Kordon matrix on Mobile Tech RX too. So for guys who don't have a physical guide, you can find that in the software. But yeah, we do additional dings on the same panel that are an inch or less at $75 per ding, and then obviously. We try to add those variables and factors and apply that to everything on the panel as well.
Right.
So our oftentimes with a multiple ding situation or clean up a whole car, we're pretty expensive. And then what that ends up forcing us into is some sort of a negotiation where the customer's going, well, is that the best you can do? And then that's when we start to negotiate from there. But we actually don't have a printed categories, which is not actually a bad idea. I mean, it's a great idea, and it sounds like it's working really well for you. So I think guys who are interested and open to that direction should certainly try it out and see what they can do. But I wanted to touch on one thing from the last slide that you had there. Is one big thing that I believe in, and you can confirm this too, happens when you start to implement the price guide process, is that you start to kind of dictate what customer you want by establishing that new pricing process, right? The truth is, you get rid of the customers that are not worth your time, who are not the customer you're looking for that wants to buy at those prices, and you start to open up that, what's up, guys? You start to open up the opportunities to the customers that you're looking for, or others customers. They're typically, they have a better appreciation for their vehicle. Maybe they keep their car cleaner, maybe a bit more type A in their you know, organization and orderliness to their vehicle. And so they're looking for the guy to do the best job. I mean, we had a guy with a Maserati in here the other day that said, listen, I went to another company that was half your price. He said, but I want the best of the best. And I think not only is your product has to be good, you know, your actual paintless dent repair has to be good quality, but
you have to be able to back it up, right?
Your process and your pricing, I think, speak to the quality of organization you are, or the quality tech you are. Because if you and I have, you know, the boldness enough to say, sir, that dent is going to take us 4 hours and it's going to cost you $1,285, then most people, I think, process that and they go, these guys must really know what they're doing. I mean, they have a process for their estimating. They're not afraid to quote this price. They're going to fix this thing to the best of their ability in half of a day. And that's who I want to do my work. So you're actually helping to change and shift the mind of the customer into understanding who you are and what you bring to the table. And I think that's a very important point to guys who are considering incorporating the process into their business. And I think that you can say, we talked about this the other day, you've noticed that you're doing, you know, better money in the same hours that you used to work. So your quality of life either goes up or your income goes up for the same quality of life.
And you just take on more bills. you know,
Yeah.
just you make more money to pay more bills. But no, in all seriousness, it is true. You're able, I mean, you see a difference in the desired customers. You know, you're always saying, you know, I need to, refine my Google search. I need to, try to define, exactly what I want to bring in and see how I can, dwindle down on all the, people that are coming in that are pricing me out and everything else. This does it for you. I mean, it really does do it for you. All of a sudden you're starting to notice that the people that want to spend money, and this is kind of the thing that is so hard for people to calculate in their minds, especially, you might be doing it. You've been in the game a long time. Here's one I wrote out. You've been in the game a long time. My system works, or people have been paying the same thing for a long time. And there's no way that they would go. I'm telling you, if you implement what it is, they've been using you this whole time. There's a reason when you say industry standard, this literally what Paul has created here so many years, this is the industry standard. That's what I believe. I believe it, wholeheartedly. So it's just about selling it, which is not very hard if there's just no other talk about it. This is what the prices are,
Well, and I'll tell you this too. I think for guys who are wondering whether or not this process and these prices can become widely accepted, I would point back to the fact that we are seeing insurance companies pay these numbers. And I'm talking about, we'll write estimates on certain vehicles that are $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 side panel PDR. Right. And because the customer is on our side and wants it done without painting, right, the insurance company is forced to come to the table and negotiate with us, and we will often capture those numbers from insurance.
Totally.
And we're seeing that now on the hail side too. I chased now the last couple of years I've been chasing hail, and we're using the price guide process to estimate extreme hail, anything over 2 inches. Right. And instead of getting $80 for double oversized dent and hail, now we're starting to put a $200 estimate on a single hail dent that's 2 inches. And as it gets bigger, we'll see dents that come in at $400, $500, or $600 for a single
you're not
hail dent.
Anybody off? You're not. Let's get this clear. I want to make sure that we're totally crystal clear on this, Paul. You're not ripping anybody off. You're getting paid what it's worth. You're getting paid what the dent is worth. People, if you're not understanding this, it's not about taking advantage. It's not about, maybe I can get. No, this is what we're worth, man. I mean, you know how hard it was to train. You know how hard it was to get this, or how hard it was to understand how to do high quality paintless dent repair. Get paid for it.
This is the industry's biggest obstacle. Yeah, this is our mind.
Yes. Zero investment means zero results, right? Zero investment means zero results. So investing in this program is, I'm telling you, and understanding it, practicing it, implementing it is only going to do you justice, whether it's the same price that myself or Paul has on our price boards, or it's what you come up with that's real darn close, because I'm telling you, it's worth it. And what about CSI? Like the customer service, the responses that these insurance agents get, they get commissioned, they get praised if the car was in there for less time than it was said to do it for conventional work. If they, even if they paid the same, but it was only there for 1 day, and the rental car fees, they didn't have to go through the whole, you're past your rental car agreement here, and now the insurance, and then everybody's arguing, everybody's mad. It's such a great experience. Everybody's happy, and they actually get praised. They actually get called, usually by the customer, going, that was the best experience. It was 1 day. I didn't have to even drive anything else but my car. I just dropped it off and picked it up the same day. There's so many benefits to this. And that's why I feel these prices are the industry standard. And man, I can't thank you enough for coming out with this and really holding steadfast with it. So people like me can really benefit from it, man, and actually get what we're worth. Randy has something to say here. Right here. I mean, here's a great one. Randy Hobson, says that you literally changed his life, with these prices. It's
that's
like
awesome.
The other guys I've heard from, man.
Yeah, I've had a couple of guys. I think I told you that today. I mean, I've even had guys walk up to me with, misty eyed and go, dude, you don't know the difference that the price guide has made in my life and that process and that way of thinking. And I mean, guys, the reality is for the people who are getting it and implementing it and owning it, they are making more money in the same amount of time, or they're making more money in less time. I mean, I've heard both sides of the coin. And I really, truly don't believe that we are gouging, or that we are, wrongfully asking for more than the value of what we do is. I believe that what we do is more valuable than a body shop. And yet the majority of our pricing and our estimating is less than what body shops charge. And that's why I say, I don't think that we've arrived as an industry, but we are certainly heading in the right direction.
Right. Oh, we're heading in the right direction. Yeah.
The more people that implement it.
The majority of this is because of stuff like this, Paul. So you know what? We've gone over time. I want to thank you for the awesome content. I'm going to have you back on because I know people are going to want to hear more about this.
Sure.
If anybody has any questions about how I set my price board up, or Paul, or how they're made, I know that Nathan Pizzo has been making them. He helped me design mine and gave me the file for it so that I can make them. As well as business cards and all kinds of stuff. Paul can, delve in. I mean, he's got all kinds of stuff. I need to get some of those magnetic tape measure. Dude, those are money. I don't have any of those, and I'm tired of drawing. I'm not a very good drawer. So I need to get some of those and stuff. But thank you so much for being on the show. Would you have anything to end this off here, man, on this great show we had today?
Well, I mean, God bless you guys as we all kind of trudge through this coronavirus thing. I wish everybody the best. I wish you guys wisdom as you, operate your businesses, and, just hang in there, because I think we'll get through this too. Be encouraged. I think these are the best days of the PDR industry. I've heard for years people telling me the sky's falling, but truthfully, it's just gotten better and better for me. I think, Ian, your testimony is that it's getting better for you after 30 years in the business. I mean, quite frankly, that's probably the biggest compliment that I can get, is that somebody who's been doing it for 30 years successfully is now saying, I've learned a better way to do it, and it's because of some of the things that I brought to the table, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
It rejuvenates me, man. Money makes me happy. I mean, when I'm going to my work and I'm not just working to pay the bills and every month going, man, I'm at zero again, but I'm actually seeing a profit. That's the way businesses are supposed to be, folks. So thank you again, Paul. I really appreciate everything you've done for the industry, and I appreciate you being on the show today.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
You have a good day. Everybody stay tuned. I'm going to have a couple words here before I leave. Thanks again, Paul.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. So everybody, all the stuff going on here in today's world, and the media, don't listen to it. You want to listen to it to a point. You want to hear, what might be jeopardizing you or your family, or what needs to be done, and stay vigilant. But you know what? Also understand that, you're loved. And that you got to love yourself. And I'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with doing that at all, man. And being kind to one another is a big thing. So I'll tell you what, I'll end it with this. With everything going on in the world today, just hold steadfast. Everything's going to be just fine. You don't need to completely bug out and buy up all the toilet paper. I need some, please. But no, thank you for watching today. I hope you guys got some great information out of it. I'm going ahead and end it with that, but I just wanted to say, because it's definitely weighing heavy on my heart what's going on with the world right now. But hold steadfast. We're going to be just fine. Everybody, thank you for watching The Dentologist, and I'll see you next week, Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.